a consequence of his own reckless and criminal actions. It was only thanks to the effort of a ranger, Alexander Hoffman, that Miss Galanis was found alive, as well as law enforcement. She had been left out in the snow, stranded, threatened, and helpless. The prosecution will show you undeniable evidence, witness testimony from Miss Galanis, who will tell you how she confronted Buchanan and how he violently abducted her. You will hear from Ranger Hoffman, who discovered Buchanan and rescued Miss Galanis. The lawman who searched for her will recount the extensive effort it took to track them down, and the physical evidence showing further proof the truth of these charges. At the end of this trial, we ask that you hold Clayton Buchanan accountable for his actions. And as I said, he is charged with 2 counts of robbery, 1 count of aggravated kidnapping, distribution of illegal substances, and resisting a peace officer. The law is clear, the evidence is clear, and the only just verdict is guilty. Thank you.
Mr. Buchanan, do you have anything you would like to say?
Not at the moment, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm not some of the privileged souls among us that had the opportunity to get education.
Mr. Novak, do you have any witnesses you would like to call?
I'd like to call Selena Galanis to the stand.
You like me? In the chair?
To the left is fine.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear on that which you hold most dear that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may be seated.
Can you please state your full name for the record?
Yes, sir. Selena Galanis.
And what's your occupation?
I am a pub owner of the Tipsy Goat, St. Denis.
And how long have you owned and operated the Tipsy Goat?
Going on, I believe, 7 months now.
And can you describe the events the morning when you arrived at the pub?
Yes. I walked in and I wanted to prepare for the day. Mr. Buchanan was in the back hallway with the door that I normally have shut and locked. It was open. He was in talks with a gentleman, and I saw that he was dealing drugs. So because I had I live in a rough part of town. Because I live in a rough part of town, I have my bolt action with me. I went to confront him and asked him to remove himself from my premises. And he did not take kindly to that.
How exactly did he react when you told him to leave?
One moment. Sorry. He began to get rather violent. He was quite the temper tantrum he was throwing. But anybody who knows me knows I will defend myself. So he swung, I swung back.
And can you describe the altercation in more detail as to what happened?
Of course. Well, I was recovering from a gunshot wound to the gut, so I wasn't exactly in my strongest suit. And he punched the shit out of my head. We tumbled out the back door, and he must have knocked me out at that point, because the next thing I knew, I could hear hoofbeats, and I knew I was moving, but I couldn't get a sense of where I was, and I was fading in and out of consciousness.
When you fully regained consciousness, what was your condition?
I mean, I was in shit shape, if I do say so myself. It was cold, it was freezing. I didn't have anything particularly warm to wear where we were. It was snowy, and aside from being beaten upside the head, and probably pistol whipped me, I don't know, just everything around my head hurt.
Mm-hmm. And do you know where you were when you woke up?
I couldn't really see too much. I was on the ground inside this. Well, I knew it was a room, but
Mhm.
it was partially demolished. You know, it was
Was
exposed to the elements.
all right. And was the defendant present when you regained consciousness?
He was.
Did he say anything to you about why he took you?
Yes, he said that he was going to teach me a lesson for crossing him.
And that was the threat that you outlined in your witness statement, correct?
That is.
Were there any other threats he made during this time?
Honestly, I was in and out of consciousness, but he didn't mumble at me. He's not exactly the most eloquent. So there may have been other words, but I don't remember most of them.
Were you restrained or otherwise unable to escape at this
I
point?
was. Yes, I was hogtied.
Did the defendant provide you with any food, water, or warmth?
No, sir.
How did you eventually get rescued from this situation?
Um, I think that Buchanan was plotting something different. But of course, that's neither here nor there. He took me outside of the room into the snow and tossed me there. And then he said something like, what was it? It wasn't about, that was what he told me before. He said something about someone else learning the lesson. I can't, I'm sorry, I can't remember.
No, you're fine. And who was it that found you?
Alexander Hoffman.
And what was your condition when he found you?
I was unconscious. I don't actually remember him finding me.
And to your knowledge, how long do you believe you were left out in the cold for?
Well, I was up in that area for several days. I don't know how long I was outside for, maybe a few hours.
And how has this experience affected you physically and emotionally?
Well, I don't think I'll rightly be going up against folks that are dealing drugs in my pub so openly again. And I may be moving to a more secure location after this so that so I have friends with me.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any doubt in your mind that Clayton Buchanan is the man who kidnapped and assaulted you?
Yes, I know it's him.
So you do not have any doubt?
I have no doubt, sir.
Okay. In your own words, what do you want this court to understand about what you endured?
I think people here know that I will give anybody a fair chance. And the first time that I met Buchanan, I did the same thing. I heard a lot of stuff about him, but I gave him a warm meal and hoped that he would behave himself. But I don't really think that Mr. Buchanan wants to be helped or saved. I think he lives in his own mind and does what he wants because that's all he does. I also don't think that he can be rehabilitated from the state of mind that he has presented to myself and others.
And do you believe that the defendant posed a serious threat to your life?
Yes, I actually didn't think I'd be speaking to you today.
All right, that's all my questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Buchanan, as you are your own defense here, it is your right to cross-examine the witness, did you so choose.
And say what exactly, Your Honor? What am I supposed to go up and say to her?
Can ask her
She
any...
must be mistaken.
Well, that is entirely up to you, sir.
No, I got nothing to say or ask her.
Right.
Say you're fucking sorry.
Miss Galanis, that'll be all.
Cool.
Mr. Novak.
My next witness will be Ranger Hoffman.
Approach to stand, Your Honor.
It's yes.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear on that which you hold most dear that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear it.
You may be seated.
Please state your full name for the record.
Alexander Hamilton Hoffman.
And what's your occupation?
Full-time wilderness ranger, part-time judge.
And how long have you worked as a ranger?
Ooh, almost half a year now.
What are your typical duties as a ranger in the 5 states?
Ooh, keeping track of wildlife presences, ensuring safe travels for folks in the wilderness and other haunts of dangerous animals, tracking flora patterns and ensuring water quality, as well as performing emergency rescue for folks who are injured outside of towns, or otherwise providing menial medical care, not quite to the extent of a doctor, but herbal remedies and the like. I could go on, there are many more, but
Thank you. On the day in question, where were you and what were you doing at that point?
before the encounters, I was up at Little Creek River. I was gathering American ginseng, which is abundant in those parts. Up near grazing moose in the surrounding area and Big Valley as well.
And when did you first spot the defendant?
It was some time later. I'd had some hunters tell me there was a tall gentleman in a long gray coat up there at the abandoned mining camps, and I knew that to be a place of bear presences, and they like to make a den there sometimes, so I thought to warn whoever would be hanging around there about that. And when I first saw him, I was inside one of the little shacks up there, and he rode up wearing a gray chaps and a gray coat, and had a rifle in hand and a mask over his face.
Sorry, 1 second. Did the defendant notice you at this point, and how did he react if he did?
Best I recall, because it got a little tense, and my veins started shooting a little high, my heart pounded. He had a rifle in hand, and when anybody approaches from behind me like that and I catch sight of him, I do my best to evade a clear line, so I ducked outside of the other door in the shack and went around the corner and prepared my shotgun. At that point, he was shouting at me to stand down or something, and something or other. I don't remember all of it, so I tried to shout back about how he shouldn't do this, because I could see he had his rifle pointed at the corner I was hiding at this point. He rounded the corner, and he fired, and I pumped a couple shells back into him.
In your opinion, were you forced to use your weapon against him?
Yes, it was a situation of self-defense against somebody who was firing at me.
And in this gunfight, were you able to subdue the defendant?
Yes.
What did you do after subduing him?
I glanced over his wounds, seeing as what condition he was in. I was not aware of his identity at the time. To this point, I had only the context that I have provided you in my recounting. And I applied a tight bandage to his shoulder where most of the buckshot had caught him. And at that point, that's when I noticed an unconscious woman on the ground nearby in the snow.
And what condition was she in when you examined her?
Unconscious, showing signs of her body temperature dropping dangerously low, and her extremities showing some signs of early frostbite.
Was she responsive at all?
Not at this time, no.
How long do you estimate she had been left out in the snow for?
It's impossible for me to say, but she'd been cold for some time, and her fingers were exposed to the elements at that point to start showing some visible signs of frostbite, so a little while at least.
And was there any evidence to suggest that she had been restrained or prevented from escaping?
She was unconscious, seemed to have been knocked around, probably a little weak. She was completely unresponsive, so she had no ability to move at that point.
Did you hear or witness anything that indicated the defendant had threatened or harmed her further?
No, not that I was aware of. My sole focus at that point was ensuring that the defendant was unable to intervene, as well as making sure that Selena was taken someplace that she could get tended to and was safe.
After capturing the defendant, what did you do next?
I did not capture the defendant. I had left him there with the bandage, and he was cursing and scowling at me, threatening me to how I'd made a grave error or a mistake of some sort, and that he was going to have me killed. And so I left him there in the snow in the state that he was in after I'd thrown that slapstick bandage on him. I had a choice to either take him in somewhere and figure out who he was, or save Selena, so...
In your professional opinion, would Miss Galanis have survived much longer in those conditions?
Left to her own, no. She would not have survived much longer.
Based on your experience as a ranger, does this area where she was found pose a serious danger to someone left there against their will?
Without the proper clothing and supplies, absolutely. Even with the proper clothing and supplies, it's a life-threatening area.
Do you have any doubt that Clayton Buchanan is responsible for her kidnapping and endangerment?
I have no doubt that he's responsible. His voice was familiar to me, but his identity was later confirmed by her as I was nursing her back to health.
And personally, what would you say about the defendant's level of threat and recklessness in this situation?
In this situation alone, he is a dangerous threat to the territories and sees aggression as the first line of communication with folks, and does not tend to respond to reasonable conversation or de-escalation. And I have always made it my policy to do my best never to get caught off guard by folks like him.
All right, thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Buchanan, as before, I will afford you the opportunity to cross-examine the witness if you choose to do so.
You know what? Sure. I'll take a crack at it, Your Honor.
Wonderful.
May I stand or will I shout at him from here?
You may stand.
Danny, can you uncuff him from the chair?
Now, if I'm hearing this whole story correctly, Miss Galanis was apparently missing for quite some time, yes.
She had been there for at least a little while before I noticed her, I guess.
Well, from her statement, she was saying that she was up there for a couple of days at least.
I couldn't speak on that.
I suppose then my question would be for you is, it just so happens that she's gone for so long out in the middle of nowhere, and you just so happen to find her.
Wasn't looking for her that day, but
You just stumbled upon her, did you?
yep. I saw you before I saw her.
That's assuming that it was me that was there. You said the person that you attacked was masked up. The only reason you assume it's me is because Miss Galanis told you it was. Sure,
Well,
perhaps maybe I did attack her at the saloon or the pub, whatever the hell she wants to call it. But I believe I took her away from Saint Denis and all the way up to the mountains.
if you found me someone that sounds exactly like you, then I'll believe that it might have been somebody else and open my mind to the possibility, but my mind's convinced.
Fortunately, I'm not very well acquainted with folks around the county, so I couldn't give you an answer for that. But we'll ask you this next question, Mr. Hoffman. Do you believe we have a choice in life?
It's a pretty complex question to answer succinctly.
Your own personal thoughts on it. Nothing too complicated.
In general, I think we have a choice granted to us. By whatever powers that may be or their absence, we have some sort of decision-making capacity, or at least the illusion which is valuable therein of its own accord.
I presume you are a learned man, Mr. Hoffman.
I have an education behind me with a university in Dahlonega, Georgia, and a law career following that.
So you come from a background with a fair amount of money then, yes?
Objection,
my-
relevance.
Sustained. Move on.
You see, folk are allowed choice if they have privilege. I was not given that privilege, Hoffman.
Objection,
Life
testifying.
dealt me cards that I had no choice in.
Mr.
Do
Buchanan,
you think I had what?
stick to the case at hand. Question the witness.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Understood. You can return to your seat. Mr. Hoffman, thank you.
Of course.
Mr. Novak, you have any
this-
more witnesses?
Yes, I'd like to call Deputy Daniela Matre to the stand.
Oh, hello.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear on that which you hold most dear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please be seated.
Can you state your full name for the record?
Danielle Augustina Lemaitre.
And what is your profession?
I am a deputy of West Elizabeth.
How long have you been a deputy for?
I have been a deputy since October, I believe,
And what are your primary duties as deputy?
to patrol as well as maintain the safety of the people within the county.
And were you involved in the investigation and search for Selena Galanis?
Yes.
When did you first become aware that Selena Galanis was missing?
I became aware of the potential at first of Miss Galanis's disappearance when an anonymous telegram was received from a concerned citizen telling us that no one had been in Tipsy Goat to restock anything, that there was dust on shelves.
Can you describe the steps you and other lawmen took to investigate?
Well, Under Sheriff Bain took those of us who were there and we searched around every corner of Saint Denis, every back alley, every building, searching for anything that could have led to Miss Galanis.
I'm sorry, do you mean Under Sheriff Bain or Under Sheriff Barnes?
Oh, Bain did help us
Okay,
search
sorry,
in Saint Denis.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
I should specify, yes. Bain did help us, as well as Barnes. Both of them were there.
Gotcha, okay.
Unfortunately, in the middle of our search, we were called away to something out in Strawberry.
Mhm.
We had to...
And, skipping past that as it's not relevant to this case, where did your overall search take you?
Overall search ended up taking us past the Grazing Woods Ranch.
And what evidence suggested that she had been kidnapped?
There was a concerned individual that came up to me to tell me that they had spotted Lannis with a gentleman riding off with her towards that direction.
Mhm. When and where was the defendant Clayton Buchanan found?
He was found in an abandoned set of buildings that someone I had previously known had been kidnapped by his mentor. It was the first place that my wife had suggested to look up north.
And what state was he in when you found him?
Not in the best kind of state. Signs of hypothermia, cold to the touch. Lucky to be alive.
And what was he wearing when you found him?
He's wearing a light mask on his face. Not relatively dark clothing, but more rugged.
Would you... never mind. What did you do with him once you found him?
We had one of the other lawmen set a fire, tried to start to slowly warm him up. I pulled his mask down to see who it was and checked for an ID to confirm his identity.
And at what point was Miss Galanis found by law enforcement?
The law never found Miss Galanis.
I
found out
should
about that afterwards.
I should restate the question. When did you first interact with her after this?
When we came back to Strawberry.
And what condition was she in when you found her? When you ran into her?
Shaken up and definitely recovering from everything. Otherwise, alright.
Was she able to provide any immediate details about what happened to her?
I thought it too traumatic and decided not to ask. Wanted her to recover first.
Gotcha. And during the processing of Mr. Buchanan in the cells in the Strawberry Sheriff's Office, was there something that happened?
Yes.
What happened?
When we took Buchanan into the cell, The door was unlocked and he tried to make a break for it. In the ensuing chaos, my wife and I drew our guns and I managed to push him with the butt of my gun in the direction towards the wall. Deputy Penny started to hog tie him, and he ended up getting shot by Undersheriff Barnes in the ensuing chaos.
All right. Thank you. No further questions.
Mr. Buchanan, do you have any questions for the witness?
Questions? No.
Sorry, I didn't hear you there.
No questions. No questions. No questions. No. No questions.
That'll be all. Thank you, Deputy.
The prosecution has no further witnesses, Your Honor.
Does the defense have any witnesses that it would like to call?
No, I do not have any witnesses. None.
Okay. I'm gonna go for a short recess while I make a determination on this. We'll return in 15 minutes. The responsibility of this courthouse is not lost on me today. We're here to render judgment of a man who has committed violent crimes. After review of the consolidated arrest records, witness testimony, and overwhelming patterns of recidivist behavior evident in this case, the court finds that the evidence clearly establishes the defendant's guilt on multiple serious charges. Although the defendant, Mr. Buchanan, did not enter a formal plea, resulting in the default plea of not guilty, the trial has proceeded and a guilty verdict on all counts is being rendered. The evidence, including the arrest report from March 7th, the testimony from witnesses such as Ms. Galanis and Mr. Hoffman, demonstrates that Mr. Buchanan engaged in violent behavior during drug-related altercations at the Tipsy Goat. The record shows that Mr. Buchanan has repeatedly been apprehended on charges including possession and sale of prohibited items, aggravated kidnapping, robbery, and resisting a peace officer.
3 counts of murder. First degree.
And 3 counts of murder. His repeated offenses reveal a disturbing pattern of recidivism. In light of these findings and the continuous escalating nature of his criminal conduct, this court orders that Clayton Buchanan is sentenced to death by hanging, with the execution to be carried out immediately. Court is adjourned.
At this point, we ask that everyone clear the gallery so that we can transport the defendant out of the building.
Got it.
Zanaya, Danny and Hart are going to grab one of his arms each, stand him up, cuff him if you want to hold a gun or a lasso at the ready, just in case he tries to fight us.
Mr. Buchanan, may God or whoever you hold dear have mercy on your soul.
No, you're fine. All right, Danny and Hart, if you want to.
All right.
I'm not expecting the outside light. So may I be allowed to walk freely to be honest.
How the fuck do you think we're gonna allow that to happen?
So if we put the cuffs behind you, you can walk. If you try anything stupid, you're getting hogtied by my wife. Alright, Hart, grab his other arm.
Got it.
Nope.
Of course,
Thanks.
everyone's... Great, I cuffed my wife.
I'll uncuff you.
Yep. Alright,
Okay.
everyone stand a little bit further back. Get nice and close.
There you go.
Alright. Come on,
That
Buchanan.
took my lasso from me for some reason. What the hell?
Do you not have one on you anymore?
I got it.
You have to uncuff him for
Right.
him to open the door.
Yep, someone wanna stand outside? Just to be ready for him?
Novak should already be out.
I know, but that one person.
Yeah. I just can't fit through. Yeah.
Alright, Buchanan. Face forward. JD, make sure you're not standing too close. Without
Yeah,
using
okay.
handcuffs. Don't engage with him.
My apologies to Mr. Barnes as well. Again, should have listened. No choice. I will allow everyone else choice, but they never take the better option.
Uneducated man. Everybody's got a purpose.
As did everyone else. Everyone would have walked away on listen. That was the choice. And they never took it.
You know, you had a choice to deal drugs somewhere else other than my pub. Danny, Zanaya, you want popcorn?
Can't even go to his death. Man.
I think Dick might be the only one that has.
Alright, well, there we go.
Buchanan, you know we are born with free will, so it does, don't give me a sob story with your background and stuff. I really don't give a
We
shit.
may have free will.
Yeah, and you
but
made
not
your
everyone is
choices.
privileged enough to be able to utilize it to the full extent.
Yeah, sure. You know, I hope you burn in hell for eternity and say hi to the devil from me. Yeah!
Oh, look at him, man.
Oh, little worm! What a wriggly little worm. Yeah!
Mister?
Oh my god, what a joyous day.
gonna
Yeah.
fall through the bottom?
You know, we should dance, get hammered, and just make it fire. Yeah, yeah. We could do the flame dance. What a good day. What a good day.
Mm.
A little too much for me.
Hey, you did good in there in the court. Well done.
No, not that. The
Oh, I know.
celebrating.
Yeah, celebrating. Same here. Same here. But for the court and everything procedures, hey, like I told the folks around me who were sitting, I'm finally the most happiest sitting at the back bench over there, seeing you guys taking over.
I saw you
It,
back
it,
there.
it is my 2-year dream come true. So thank you
Wow.
for that, and you
You're
did
welcome.
absolutely well.
Thank you very much.
Right.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, take care, Judge Wilson.
You too. Good night.
Yeah, that's why some
Hey.
people call me
I
a
heard
devil
there's something
Hi.
to do with the pineapple.
Love pineapple.
Hank, do you love
All right, then.
popcorn?
You wouldn't love this kind of pineapple.
Oh, okay.
It's a hill pineapple.
Oh. The
I do
hell,
like
man.
popcorn.
Yeah, I heard they shove it up the ass of the bad people who go down.
Oh, I was
Real
laughing
bad
so
people.
bad when he was apologizing and regretting everything. Oh my god, so pathetic. I was just giggling so bad. I was like, oh my god, yeah, now you're
That
sorry for
cackle
everything.
was a little
Oh, yeah.
concerning.
Me?
That's Christine.
Yes, Christine.
No, it's not concerning. I was just laughing when he was all of a sudden having regrets about stuff, and I just couldn't help
Uh,
myself.
He,
A
The
little
most
late.
he's done that
pathetic.
before. Like he does all these. He did like all the like. I think he's only apologized once, but he did like apologize when we had to like knock him, like incapacitate him at another point.
Yeah,
But like he then just immediately started doing stuff again. So I don't know what's
Yeah.
with him. What was
That's
with
why
him?
I
Harvey, what's
can't.
your boot size?
15.
You see, Harvey, that's why I could never be law. No, it's not just the paperwork, but I take sometimes great pleasure in giving people some pain.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you, Hank.
Good job, Hank.
Just doing my job.
In a very
you
timely
know-
fashion.
That Belina sat there and she was giddy. She was so happy to be on that side of the courtroom.
Oh,
She
yeah.
told me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, congratulations on your first case.
Thanks. Thanks. You know, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I hate that death is sometimes the answer to these kinds of problems, but
Don't feel sorry. I think we should have burned.
when individuals like that are constantly a danger to the citizens of the 5 states, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Very true.
Giving us.
he really danced the jig, though, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Oh, that was lovely. Like a wriggly little worm. Yeah.
God damn. Well,
Well, may the flames of eternal hell consume him. Mm-hmm.
hmm.
Oh,
You know, if
sir,
anything-
you missed it. You missed the hanging. You see.
oh,
She's advertising the hanging.
she is.
Oh no.
Here's the thing, though, is it sets a precedent to the rest of the criminals here in county that justice will be served
It's true.
publicly.
One of them has been hanged in front of the whole community.
The other one was shot.
I was about to say, I think he's the first hanging we've had.
Yeah.
Hopefully the
Oh.
last.
Hopefully more will come.
No,
Oh my
no, no.
God.
Please
Oh,
don't put that on me.
I'm sorry, Harvey. I'm sorry. I just
You
thought
know,
I just liked it.
When
Like
I
to see
have
them.
nothing to do, that's a good thing.
Yes, of course I know.
That
But,
was not the case yesterday.
No, certainly not.
No.
I was up way too late.
Well, now he's gone. Yay!
Yep. Now I
Maybe
don't
you
have
should
to
just
worry.
release his body to nature and let nature take its course. You know.
No, the Undertaker's gonna take care of him.
Ah.
Christian, I believe you are nature in this case.
Who? Huh?
If you leave it up to nature, I think you might have another word to speak to him.
Well, I might just take some fingernails and some teeth and just
Yeah,
put it
that's
on
what I mean.
like a mantle in
Mhm.
the living room. That's all. Just some trophies. Yeah.
Okay. Trophies. Oh.
Good grief,
Yeah.
Christine.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna live in your house if you're gonna have trophies of
No,
him hanging around.
that is true. That
I
is
need to go
true.
put the
Well,
wagon
Bill
away.
would be mortified, I think.
I think Bill would be mortified. I would just.
He's a tender little man, you know.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, Bill's wonderful. I love him.
Yeah, I love him to bits too. Even though he really